The Dauntless Hope was alone in the dark. It had been alone for 3 months now, moving through empty space where no one had gone before. The ship was not large and not small. It was built for exploration, not for war. 47 people lived inside it, and they had traveled very far from Earth. Captain Park stood on the bridge and looked at the main screen. It showed nothing but stars and the cold, empty black between them. He was a man of 52 years, with gray hair at his temples and lines on his face from too many hard decisions. He had been a captain for 20 years, and he had seen many things, but he had never seen anything like what they were about to find. "Anything new?" he asked. Lee, the chief science officer, shook her head. She was younger than the captain, maybe 35, with sharp eyes that never missed anything on her screens. "Nothing, Captain. Same as yesterday. Same as the day before. Empty systems and dead rocks." Nodded. This was the mission. Go to places no one had been. Look for worlds where humans could live. It was important work, but it was also boring work. 3 months of nothing could make anyone tired. The ship moved toward the next system on their list. The computers called it KR7741. It had a large gas giant with many moons, and the scientists thought maybe one of those moons could support life. It was a small hope, but small hopes were all they had out here. Navigator Minu guided the ship closer. He was a quiet man who rarely spoke unless he had something important to say. His job was to keep them on course, and he did it well. "Entering the system now," Minu said. "Gas giant in visual range in 10 minutes. Sat in his chair and waited. Waiting was a big part of being a captain. Waiting and thinking and hopping, nothing went wrong. Something went wrong. Made a sound of surprise. It was a small sound, but everyone on the bridge heard it. Small sounds meant big problems out here. "Captain," she said, "I am detecting an anomaly near the fourth moon of the gas giant." "What kind of anomaly?" "Artificial. It is a structure, very large, very old." She paused and looked at her screens more closely. "It is broadcasting a signal, weak but definitely there." Leaned forward. This was not boring anymore. An artificial structure meant someone had built it, someone intelligent, someone who might still be around. "Can you tell who made it?" "No, Captain. The design does not match anything in our databases. It could be thousands of years old, maybe older." The bridge was silent. Everyone understood what this meant. They had found something, something that could change everything. "Bring us closer," ordered, "but slowly, let us be careful." Minu adjusted their course. The ship moved toward the gas giant and its mysterious moon. On the screens, the structure became clearer. It was massive, bigger than their ship by 100 times. It floated in space like a metal island, covered in patterns that no human had ever seen before. Opened his mouth to give another order. He never got the chance. "Captain," Communications Officer Bay shouted. "Multiple contacts. 17 ships just appeared behind the outer moons." The main screen changed. Now it showed ships, alien ships. They were long and sleek, built like predators with weapons visible on every surface. They moved fast, spreading out to surround the Dauntless Hope. Felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his voice calm. "Raise shields, power up whatever weapons we have, and get me a communication channel." The crew moved fast. Lieutenant, the security chief, ran to her station. She was a small woman, but tough. She had trained for moments like this, even though everyone hoped such moments would never come. "Weapons online," she reported. "But Captain, we only have light plasma cannons. They are meant for asteroids and wildlife, against those ships." She did not finish. She did not need to. The alien ships completed their circle around the Dauntless Hope. There was nowhere to run. Even if they tried, the human ship was too slow. "Incoming transmission," said. "Put it through." The screen flickered and then a face appeared. It was not a human face. The creature was large, with dark red skin and a flat head. Its eyes were small and black, and its mouth was full of sharp teeth. Armor covered its body, but the armor looked natural, like it was part of the creature itself. When it spoke, the translator took a moment to catch up. "I am Supreme Warlord of the Dominion. You have entered space that belongs to us. Your vessel is now property of the Dominion. Your crew will be processed and assigned to labor duties. Resistance is not possible." He made sure his voice was steady. "I am Captain Park of the human exploration vessel Dauntless Hope. We are on a peaceful mission. We did not know this space was claimed. We mean no harm." Made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peaceful, yes, we scanned your ship, we know what you are." The screen showed data that they had collected. Human biology, human weapons, human technology. Everything was measured and rated, and every rating was low. "Soft bodies," said. "No natural armor, no claws, no venom. Your weapons are toys. Your ship is slow and weak. Your species is perfect for labor. You will serve the Dominion well." Felt anger rise inside him, but he pushed it down. Anger would not help right now. "And if we refuse? Then we will destroy your ship, take the survivors, and find your. We will take everything your species has. We have done this before, many times. No one has ever stopped us." The transmission ended. Did not wait for an answer. He did not need one. He had already decided what would happen. On the bridge, the crew looked at their captain. Some were afraid. Some were angry. All of them were waiting to see what he would do. Thought for a long moment. 17 ships against one. 300 warriors for each of their 47 crew members. The numbers were bad. The odds were worse. But had been a captain for 20 years. He had faced bad odds before. He had survived when others said he would not. "Open a channel to the ship," he said. Did as he ordered. Supreme Warlord said, "We need time to discuss your offer with my crew. I request 1 hour." There was silence. Then's voice came back, amused and confident. 1 hour, it will make no difference. You cannot run, you cannot fight, but take your hour, discuss. Cry, pray to whatever gods you have. When the hour ends, you will surrender." The channel closed. Turned to his crew. Their faces showed fear and confusion. They wanted him to have a plan. They needed him to have a plan. "All senior staff conference room now," he said. "We have 1 hour, let us not waste it." He walked off the bridge with his back straight and his head high. He did not know yet what they would do, but he knew one thing for certain. They had scanned their ship. They had measured human bodies and counted human weapons. They thought they knew everything. They were wrong. The conference room was small and plain. A metal table sat in the middle with chairs around it. The walls showed screens with data and maps. It was a room for planning, for thinking, for making hard choices. Captain sat at the head of the table. Around him were the people he trusted most. Navigator Minu, Communications Officer Bay, Chief Science Officer Lee, Security Chief Lieutenant, Engineer Shin, Ship's Dr. Han. 7 people against an empire. "Tell me our options," said. "All of them, even the bad ones." Minu spoke first. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed worry. "Running is not possible. The ships are faster than us. Even if we go to maximum speed, they will catch us in less than an hour, and there is nowhere to run to. The nearest human space is months away." "What about calling for help?" asked. Shook her head. "I sent a distress signal the moment we saw the alien ships. The nearest Earth fleet is 11 days away. Even if they left immediately, we would be gone long before they arrived." Silence filled the room. 11 days was too long. 1 hour was all they had. Fighting looked at. The security chief stood and walked to a screen. She put up images of the warriors they had seen in the transmission, along with data their sensors had collected. "Each warrior is over 2 meters tall," she said. "Their bodies have natural armor on the outside. Their muscles are 3 times stronger than ours. They carry weapons that can cut through steel. If we fight them directly, we will lose. It is that simple. She changed the image to show the human crew. We have 47 people. Only 12 have any combat training. Our weapons are sidearms and 2 plasma rifles. Those rifles are meant for dangerous animals on new planets, not for war. Against armor, they might not even leave a mark. Nodded slowly. He had expected this answer, but hearing it out loud still hurt. So we cannot run, we cannot call for help, we cannot fight. What can we do? Doctor raised his hand. He was the oldest person in the room, with white hair and gentle eyes. Most of the time, he stayed quiet and let others talk, but when he spoke, people listened. "May I show something?" he asked. Waved him forward. Went to the screen and pulled up new data. It was the same information that had collected about humans, but next to it was data about themselves. Their sensors had captured it during the standoff. "They scanned us," said, "but we scanned them too. They are very strong, yes. Their armor is hard to break, yes, but they are not perfect. Nothing is perfect." He pointed to a diagram of internal organs. "Their hearts are large, but their blood moves slowly. They get tired fast. In a long fight, their strength drops quickly. After 10 minutes of hard activity, they need to rest." Leaned forward. "That is interesting. What else?" Smiled. It was a small smile, but it was there. "Their eyes. The orbit's a dim red star. Their eyes are made for low light. Bright light hurts them. It does not blind them forever, but for a few seconds they cannot see well." Engineer stood up now. She was young, maybe 28, with short hair and grease stains on her uniform from working on the engines. "I found something too," she said. "The ships use a centralized power system. One main core runs everything. Weapons, shields, engines, life support, all connected to one power source." "What happens if that power source stops working?" asked. "Everything stops. The whole ship goes dark. No weapons, no shields, no way to communicate. They would be helpless." The room felt different now. The fear was still there, but something else was growing, something that felt like hope. Crossed her arms. "Their hearing is also specialized. They can hear very low sounds that we cannot, but sounds above a certain frequency confuse them. It is like noise to them. They cannot think clearly when they hear it." Looked around the table. Each person had found a weakness. Each weakness was small by itself, but together, maybe, just maybe, they could add up to something. "They scanned us," he said slowly. "What did they see?" "Soft bodies," answered. "Weak muscles, small teeth, no claws, no venom, no natural weapons." "What did they miss?" The question hung in the air. Nobody answered right away. Then spoke. "They miss that we have been weak since the beginning. Humans have always been weak. We have no fur to keep us warm. We have no sharp teeth to kill our food. We have no armor to protect us. Every animal on Earth was stronger and faster than us. But we are still here," Minyu said quietly, "and most of those animals are not. Because we are clever," added. "Because we make tools, because we work together, because we do not give up." Stood, he walked to the window and looked out at the stars. The ships were still there, waiting like sharks around a wounded fish. "They see what we are not," he said. "They do not see what we are. They measure our bodies and call us weak. They count our weapons and call us harmless. They think they know us." He turned back to face his crew. His eyes were hard now, like stone. "They know nothing. We are the species that hunted the woolly mammoth to nothing. We are the species that split the atom. We are the species that left our planet and reached for the stars. We do not win because we are strong. We win because we never stop trying." The crew was silent. They watched their captain with new eyes. The fear was not gone, but it was smaller now. In its place was something else. Determination, defiance, the will to survive. "They expect us to surrender," continued. "They expect us to be easy prey. They have done this before with other species, but they have never done this with humans." He sat back down at the table. "We have 50 minutes left. Here is what we are going to do. Doctor, you will prepare a chemical that affects their armor joints. something that makes them stiff or slow. Can you do this? I can try, said. The ship's lab has chemicals that might work. Good, engineer, I need you to find a way onto their flagship, a weak point in their hull, somewhere your team can enter without being seen. Nodded, I will look at the scan data. There might be a maintenance port they are not watching. Lieutenant, your security team will hide in the ventilation system. When they board our ship, you will be behind them, not in front of them. Smiled, it was not a nice smile. I understand, Captain. Navigator Minu, I need you to get us close to their flagship. Very close, close enough to touch. That will surprise them, Minu said. That is the point. Officer, I need you to prepare a message, not for everyone else. If we survive this, the whole galaxy needs to know what happened. Took notes, what should the message say? Thought for a moment, the truth, just the truth. He looked at each of them in turn. These were his people, his family. They had trusted him to bring them home safe. He would not fail them. They think we are prey, he said. They are wrong. Today we are going to teach them what humans really are, and they will never forget it. The meeting ended. The crew went to their stations. They had 37 minutes left to prepare for battle. Outside, the ships waited. Supreme Warlord sat in his command chair, expecting an easy victory. He had conquered 100 species. Humans would be just one more. He did not know that, in a small conference room on a small human ship, the prey had decided to become the hunter. They had made a mistake, the worst mistake of their long and bloody history. They had chosen the wrong species to challenge. The hour was almost over. On the bridge of the Dauntless Hope, Captain watched the clock count down. 5 minutes remained. Everything was ready. Everything was in place. Now came the hard part. Now came the waiting. Bay looked at him from her station. Captain, should I open a channel to the... Nodded, yes, it is time to surrender. The screen flickered. Supreme Warlord appeared, his flat face showing what might have been a smile. His small black eyes looked at like a hungry animal looking at food. Your hour is ended, human. What is your answer? Made his voice sound tired and defeated. It was not hard. Part of him was tired. Part of him was afraid. But another part, a deeper part, was ready. We accept your terms, he said. The Dauntless Hope will surrender. We ask only that you send a boarding party to accept our capitulation properly. We will gather unarmed in the main cargo bay to show our submission. His eyes narrowed slightly. You understand what submission means. Neural binding, labor service. Your freedom ends today. We understand. We have no choice. Your ships are too many. Your warriors are too strong. We cannot fight what we cannot defeat. For a moment said nothing. He was looking for a trick, looking for some sign of deception. But's face showed only despair. His voice held only defeat. The words were exactly what expected to hear. Very well, said at last. I will send 300 warriors. They will secure your ship and begin the binding process. Do not resist. Resistance only brings pain. The transmission ended. Let out a long breath. The first part of the plan was complete. Believed them. Why would he not believe them? Every other species had surrendered the same way. Humans were just another weak race joining the long list of the conquered. Lieutenant appeared at his side. She was dressed in dark clothes that would blend into shadows. Her security team waited behind her, 12 men and women with hard eyes and steady hands. We are ready, Captain, she said quietly. The ventilation shafts are clear. We will be in position before they reach the cargo bay. Good, remember the plan. Wait for the lights. Wait for the foam, then move fast. Do not give them time to think. Nodded and led her team away. They disappeared into a side corridor, moving silent as ghosts. Engineer came to the bridge next. She wore an EVA suit, the kind used for working outside the ship in the cold of space. Behind her were 5 other crew members in the same suits. The maintenance port on the flagship is on their lower hull, she reported. It is small, but we can fit through. Once inside, we can reach their power core in 12 minutes if we are fast. You will have 17 minutes at most, said. After that, the other ships will figure out what is happening and respond. Smiled. It was a nervous smile, but her voice was steady. We will be faster than 12 minutes. I did not become an engineer by being slow. She left for the airlock, her team following. Doctor appeared with a container in his hands. Inside was a thick foam that looked almost like the fire suppression foam the ship used for emergencies. But this foam was different. It was mixed with chemicals that would react with exoskeletons. It will not hurt them permanently, explained. But when it touches their joints, the chemicals will cause their armor to lock. They will not be able to move for several minutes, long enough for us to deal with them. And the lights? Asked. Ready. Every illumination panel on the ship can reach maximum brightness on my command. The eyes are not made for such light. They will be blind for 8 to 10 seconds. And the sound? Lee answered this question. The speakers are already broadcasting ultrasonic frequencies, too high for humans to hear, but they are already feeling the effects. They will be slightly confused, slightly slow. They will not understand why, but their thinking will not be as clear as normal. Nodded. Everything was ready. All the pieces were in place. Everyone to the cargo bay, he ordered. Except Minu, you stay here. When I give the signal, you know what to do. Navigator Minu looked at the controls. His job was simple but dangerous. When the time came, he would fly the Dauntless Hope directly into the flagship and lock the two ships together. It was a move no one would expect because it was crazy. Exactly the kind of crazy that might work. The crew gathered in the cargo bay. 47 humans stood in the large open space, unarmed as promised. They looked afraid. They looked defeated. They looked like perfect victims. It was all an act. The airlock opened. The boarding party entered the ship. They came in perfect formation, weapons ready, armor gleaming in the dim light. Each warrior was huge, their red skin dark in the shadows. They moved with confidence. They had done this 100 times, 1,000 times. They knew exactly how this would go. The first group moved down the corridor toward the cargo bay. 50 warriors in the lead, with more behind them. Their heavy feet made the floor shake with each step. They did not notice the small devices welded to the ceiling. They did not hear the ultrasonic frequencies making their thoughts fuzzy. They did not see Lieutenant's team watching from behind ventilation grates. The lead warriors reached the cargo bay entrance. They stopped when they saw the humans inside, 47 weak creatures standing in the open, unarmed, defenseless, ready for the taking. The commander made a gesture and his warriors spread out around the room. They surrounded the humans on all sides. There was no escape now. The prey was caught. Kneel, the commander ordered. His voice was like stone grinding on stone. Kneel and accept binding. The humans did not move. They did not kneel. They did not even look afraid anymore. They were smiling. The commander felt something cold in his stomach. Something was wrong. But before he could understand what, Captain raised his hand. Now said. Everything happened at once. Doctor activated the lights. Every illumination panel in the cargo bay exploded with brightness. Pure white light filled the room like a sun had been born inside the ship. They screamed. Their eyes, made for dim red light, could not handle the assault. For precious seconds, they could see nothing at all. The ceiling panels opened. Fire suppression nozzles sprayed downward, but instead of normal foam, they released special mixture. It covered the warriors, coating their armor, seeping into the joints where different plates connected. The chemicals reacted. They felt their bodies lock. Arms would not move. Legs would not bend. They were statues frozen in place, blind and helpless. In the corridors, Lieutenant's team dropped from the ventilation shafts. They landed behind the remaining forces. The plasma rifles fired at point-blank range, targeting the joints where armor was weakest. It was not a fair fight, but humans had stopped caring about fair fights long ago. The corridors fell. They were strong, but they could not fight what they could not see. The ultrasonic frequencies made their reaction slow. The attacks from behind left them confused and panicked. In less than 2 minutes, the corridors were secured. In the cargo bay, the frozen warriors could only watch as the humans walked among them. Nobody hurt them. Nobody killed them. The humans simply walked past, treating them like furniture. Stepped in front of the commander. The warrior's eyes were slowly adjusting, but his body was still locked. "You scanned us," said. "You measured our bodies, you counted our weapons, you thought you knew what we were." He leaned closer, so only the commander could hear. "You were wrong." On the bridge, Navigator Minu pushed the engines to full power. The Dauntless Hope surged forward, moving toward the flagship with reckless speed. The alien ship tried to move, but Minu was faster. The human vessel slammed into the flagship's hull, and magnetic clamps engaged. The two ships were now locked together, metal against metal. Engineer and her team moved through the airlock they had attached during the collision. They entered the ship through the maintenance port, exactly as planned. The corridors inside were dark and alien, filled with strange smells and stranger sounds. They moved fast, they moved quiet, they did not stop. 11 minutes later, they reached the central power core. It was a massive structure, pulsing with energy, the heart of the entire flagship. Looked at it for a long moment. Then she began to plant the fusion charges. Outside, the fleet waited. They could see that something had gone wrong, but they could not attack without risking their own flagship. They could not communicate with the boarding parties. They could only watch and wonder. Inside the Dauntless Hope, Captain stood among 300 frozen warriors. His crew had done the impossible. They had captured an enemy that outnumbered them and them. But they were not finished yet. The hardest part was still to come. The flagship went dark. One moment it was the most powerful ship in the fleet, bristling with weapons and full of warriors. The next moment it was dead. No lights, no engines, no weapons, just a giant metal tomb floating in space. Engineer and her team had done their job perfectly. They had reached the power core in 11 minutes, planted the fusion charges, and then activated the ship's emergency shutdown. They had never expected anyone to reach the heart of their vessel. They had never planned for such an attack. Now they paid the price for their arrogance. On his command ship, Supreme Warlord stared at the screens in disbelief. His flagship, the pride of his fleet, was dark and silent. The boarding parties had not reported back. 300 of his best warriors had vanished into the human vessel and were simply gone. "What has happened?" he demanded. His officers had no answers. They tried to contact the flagship. Nothing. They tried to contact the boarding parties. Nothing. The only thing they could see was the small human ship, still locked to the flagship's hull like a parasite on a larger animal. "Destroy them," ordered. "Fire everything now." "Supreme Warlord, our flagship." "It is already lost. The humans have done something to it. Destroy them before they do anything else." The remaining 16 ships began to move. Their weapons powered up. They would obliterate the Dauntless Hope and the flagship together. It was a heavy loss, but would not let these humans win. Then a voice came through the communication systems. Not a voice, a human voice. "This is Captain Park of the Dauntless Hope. I am broadcasting on an open channel. All ships, please listen carefully." Gestured for his officers to stop. He wanted to hear what the human would say. He wanted to know how they had done this impossible thing. "Your flagship is disabled," continued. "Your 300 warriors are my prisoners. They are alive and unharmed, but this situation can change very quickly." On the Dauntless Hope's bridge, stood before the communication screen. Behind him, Minu kept the ship steady, was recording everything, making sure every word was captured and transmitted. "We have placed fusion charges on your flagship's power core," said. "If your fleet attacks us, I will detonate those charges. The explosion will destroy both ships. The debris will spread across this area at high speed. My calculations show that at least 4 of your remaining ships will be caught in that debris field. They will be destroyed or heavily damaged." He paused to let the words sink in. "That means you will lose 5 ships today instead of 1. You will lose 300 warriors instead of 0. And you will still not have captured us because we will be dead. Dead humans are no use to your labor camps." Claus dug into his chair. This was not how things were supposed to go. This was not how Prey behaved. Prey ran or surrendered. Prey did not fight back. Prey did not win. But the human was not finished. "There is something else you should know," said. "That ancient structure near the 4th moon, the one you probably ignored because it looked dead. It is not dead. It is a communications relay. Very old, very powerful. It can send signals across many star systems at once." Lee had figured this out during the battle. The structure was broadcasting on frequencies that matched nothing in human or databases. It was left behind by a civilization that no longer existed. But its purpose was clear. It was built to send messages very far, very fast. "Right now," continued, "that relay is transmitting everything that has happened here, every ship that arrived, every threat your warlord made, every moment of this battle. The signal is going to at least 12 nearby star systems, maybe more." He smiled, though no one could see it. "Everyone is watching, Supreme Warlord. Everyone will know that 47 humans on a ship with almost no weapons defeated the Dominion. They will know that your 300 warriors are prisoners. They will know that your flagship is dead in space." On his command ship felt something he had not felt in many years. Fear. Not fear of the humans. Even now, he did not truly fear these soft, weak creatures, but fear of what this meant. Fear of what others would think. The Dominion ruled through strength. They conquered because no one could resist them. Every species knew that fighting them meant death. Every species knew that surrender was the only option. But if this story spread, if others learned that humans had resisted and won, everything would change. Other species might start to hope. Other species might start to fight back. The entire Dominion could crumble, not from external attack, but from internal rebellion. All because of 47 humans on one small ship. "What do you want?" asked. His voice was quiet now. The arrogance was gone. "I want you to leave," said. "I want you to take your fleet and go. I want you to release any species in your territory who want to be free. I want you to never pursue the Dauntless Hope or any human vessel again. And if I agree to this, then I will return your 300 warriors. I will not destroy your flagship. You will lose some pride today, but you will keep your lives and your ships." Was silent for a long time. His officers waited. The entire fleet waited. The universe itself seemed to hold its breath. "And if I refuse?" His voice became cold. "Then I press a button and we all die together. Your fleet loses 5 ships. Your empire loses its reputation forever. And in 11 days, a human fleet arrives to find your remaining ships. That fleet is much larger than ours. That fleet has real weapons. That fleet will not offer you the same deal I am offering now." The choice was clear. Accept the humans' terms and live with shame. Refuse and die with nothing gained. Made his decision. "We accept your terms," he said. The words tasted like poison in his mouth. "We will withdraw. We will release the labor species who wish to leave. We will not pursue your ship." "Good," said, "but I want one more thing." "You ask too much already." "I ask for what is fair. I want you to send a message to every species in your empire. I want you to tell them what happened here. I want you to tell them what humans are capable of. I want you to tell them that humans are not prey." Claus drew blood from his own hands. The humiliation was complete. Not only had he lost, but he had to announce his loss to everyone. He had to tell the galaxy that the Dominion had been defeated by creatures they had dismissed as weak. "Very well," he said at last, "it will be done. Then we have a deal." The communication ended. Let out a breath he had been holding for too long. His legs felt weak. His hands were shaking, but he stayed standing. Captains did not fall. Lieutenant appeared at his side. "They are really leaving." "Yes, they have no choice." "Will they honor the agreement?" Watched the ships on the screen. They were turning away, moving toward the edge of the system. Slow at first, then faster, as if they could not wait to escape. They will honor it because they have to. Their power comes from fear. If they break their word now, after the whole galaxy saw them surrender, no one will ever fear them again. They are trapped by their own reputation. Nodded slowly. "That was clever, Captain, using the relay, making sure everyone was watching. I learned something a long time ago. Wars are not just about fighting. They are about stories. They had the ships and the weapons, but we had the story. And sometimes the story is more powerful than any weapon." On the flagship, Engineer's team was carefully removing the fusion charges. They had never planned to actually detonate them. The explosion would have killed everyone, human and alike, but did not know that. He only knew that the humans were willing to die rather than surrender. That willingness was the real weapon. That determination was what they had never expected. They had scanned human bodies and found nothing impressive. But you cannot scan courage. You cannot measure the will to be free. The fleet disappeared from sensors. They were gone, running home to lick their wounds and tell their people the terrible news. In the Dauntless Hope's cargo bay, the 300 frozen warriors were slowly regaining movement. They were confused and angry, but they were also afraid. They had seen what humans could do. They had felt the foam lock their bodies. They had heard their empire surrender. When the human ship released them to a rescue vessel they sent back, they went quietly. No one tried to fight. No one tried to resist. They had learned their lesson. In the conference room, the senior staff gathered one more time. Everyone was tired. Everyone was bruised or bleeding from the battle, but everyone was also smiling. "We did it," said. "We actually did it." "We did," agreed. "But this is not the end. This is the beginning. The story of what happened here will spread. Other humans will hear it. Other species will hear it. Everything changes after today." Pulled up the data from the ancient relay. The signal is still transmitting. Our message is reaching systems we have never visited. Species we have never met now know our name. "What do they know about us?" asked. "They know we are small. They know we are soft. They know we have no natural weapons." Smiled, "And they know we do not give up. That is enough." Outside the window, the ancient relay floated in space, still broadcasting its signal into the dark. The story of the Dauntless Hope was traveling faster than any ship could fly. By the time the human fleet arrived in 11 days, half the galaxy would know what had happened. The Dominion had scanned the human ship. They had measured everything they could measure. They had decided that humans were perfect for conquest. They had been wrong. And now everyone would know it. 11 days passed slowly. The Dauntless Hope floated near the ancient relay, waiting and watching. The crew repaired the damage from the battle. They rested. They tried to understand what they had done. On the 12th day, the Earth fleet arrived. 20 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. They were not small exploration vessels like the Dauntless Hope. These were warships, real warships with real weapons and real soldiers, the kind of ships that could fight a war and win. Admiral commanded the fleet. He was an old soldier who had seen many battles, but he had never seen anything like what waited for him in System KR-7741. He expected to find a destroyed ship and dead crew. Instead, he found the Dauntless Hope intact, its crew alive, and no in sight. "Captain," the Admiral's voice came through the communication system. Report your status. Smiled, it was a tired smile but a real one. We are alive, Admiral, all 47 crew members, some injuries but no deaths. And gone, we made them leave. There was a long silence. The Admiral was reading the reports that had sent ahead. He was seeing the data. He was understanding what had happened. When he spoke again, his voice was different, softer, almost gentle. Captain, I have been in the military for 40 years. I have never seen anything like this. You defeated 17 warships with an exploration vessel. You captured 300 enemy warriors with 12 security personnel. You made an empire retreat without firing a single shot at their fleet. We did what we had to do, Admiral. We had no other choice. That is exactly the point. When there was no choice, you made one. That is what makes humans dangerous. That is what the Never understood. The fleet escorted the dauntless Hope home. It was a long journey, but it felt shorter than the 3 months the crew had spent alone in the unknown. Now they had company. Now they had protection. Now they were heroes. The story traveled faster than the ships. By the time the dauntless Hope reached human space, everyone knew what had happened. News programs played the recordings from the ancient relay. Talk shows discussed the Battle of KR 7741. Children played games where they pretended to be captain or lieutenant. The crew became famous, not because they wanted fame, but because the galaxy needed heroes. After centuries of humanity struggling to find its place among the stars, finally there was a story that made everyone proud. Captain Park was offered many things when he returned to Earth: promotions, medals, command of the new expeditionary fleet. Politicians wanted to shake his hand. Generals wanted his advice. Everyone wanted a piece of the man who had defeated the. He turned them all down. I am staying with my ship, he told the committee that offered him the fleet command. I am staying with my crew. They trusted me in the dark when we had nothing. I will not leave them now that we have everything. The committee did not understand, but they respected his choice. Some people are not meant for offices and medals. Some people are meant for the stars. Lieutenant accepted a position at the Colonial Security Academy. She could have commanded her own ship, but she chose to teach instead. Every year, new students came to learn how to protect human colonies from threats. She taught them the lesson she had learned in the cargo bay of the Dauntless Hope. Never let your enemy tell you what you are, she would say. They scanned us and saw weakness. They measured our bodies and counted our weapons. They thought they knew our limits, but they only knew what we showed them. Never show your enemy everything, and never believe that their picture of you is the truth. Her students learned well. In the years that followed, many of them would face threats that seemed impossible. They would remember her words. They would find ways to win. Dr. Han published his research on physiology. The paper became required reading for every first contact team in the human fleet. Understanding other species, argued, was not just about making friends. It was about survival. Every species had strengths and weaknesses. Knowledge was the first weapon, and often the best. He continued working on the Dauntless Hope, healing the crew and studying any new species they encountered. He never became famous, which suited him fine. Fame was for the young. He was content to do his work and save lives, one patient at a time. Engineer Shin was recruited by the military's research division. They wanted her to build weapons, to design ships that could fight better and kill faster. She refused. I did not become an engineer to destroy things, she told them. I became an engineer to build things, to create things, to help people. Instead, she joined a civilian project designing new colony ships. Her designs were brilliant, efficient, safe, and comfortable for long journeys. Thousands of families traveled to new worlds in ships she had built. She never regretted her choice. Navigator Minyu stayed on the Dauntless Hope. He was still quiet, still calm, still the steady hand that kept the ship on course. Some people were born to wander, and he was one of them. The stars were his home, and he had no desire to leave them. Communications Officer Bay also remained with the ship. Her recording of the battle had been seen by billions of beings across the galaxy. She had become, in a small way, the voice of humanity to the universe. But she preferred working in the background, managing messages and data rather than standing in the spotlight. Chief Science Officer Lee continued her research on the ancient relay. It became her life's work. The relay had been built by a species that no longer existed, but their technology lived on. Understanding it could take centuries, was happy to spend her life trying. The Dauntless Hope resumed its mission. It traveled to new systems, found new worlds, and made contact with new species. Some of those species had heard the story of KR-7741. They approached humans with respect, sometimes with fear, always with curiosity. "Is it true?" they would ask. "Did your people really defeat the Dominion with one ship?" "Yes," the crew would answer, "it is true." The Dominion changed after that day. The Empire did not fall immediately, but it began to crack. Species that had been slaves for generations started to hope. Some of them resisted. Some of them fought back. The Dominion still had power, but it was shrinking. Supreme Warlord was removed from command and never seen again. The did not forgive failure, especially public failure. His replacement was more careful, more cautious. The days of easy conquest were over. Other empires took notice. They had seemed unstoppable for centuries. If humans could beat them, anyone could. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, and no one knew where it would end. On Earth, a monument was built to the crew of the Dauntless Hope. It was a simple thing, a stone pillar with 47 names carved into it. People came from all over the world to see it, to remember what had happened, to feel proud of being human. At the base of the monument, there was a plaque with words from Captain's speech at the dedication ceremony. "They scanned our ship and saw weakness. They measured our bodies and found them lacking. They counted our weapons and called them toys, but they missed what mattered most. They missed the heart inside every one of us, the heart that refuses to give up, the heart that fights even when fighting seems impossible. That heart is what makes us human. That heart is what they will never understand." Years passed. The crew of the Dauntless Hope grew older. Some retired, some died, but their story lived on. It was told in schools and homes, in bars and temples on 100 different worlds. The story was simple. 47 humans, alone, and faced an impossible enemy and won. Not through strength or superior weapons, but through cleverness, courage, and the refusal to accept defeat. It was a story about what humans really were, not the soft bodies they had scanned, not the weak creatures that other species expected. Something different, something dangerous, something that could not be measured or predicted. New generations heard the story and understood its meaning. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They were not the fastest or the most advanced. But when they were pushed, when they were cornered, when they had nothing left to lose, they became something that no scan could capture. They became survivors. They became winners. They became exactly what they had never expected them to be. And that was the legacy of the Dauntless Hope. Not just a victory in one battle, but a message to the entire universe. A message that said, "We are human. We are here, and we will never give up." They had scanned the human ship and chosen the wrong species to challenge. The galaxy would never forget.